We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. Zach, I don't know, for everybody that's just joining us, just listening, just for the first time tuning in, Zach is our producer. Zachary Elias Lee. Zachary Durant Lee. Do you think we're going to have some breaking news in the next couple weeks? If you missed it, our good friend Mike Scarborough over at TigerBait.com dropped an absolute bomb today. Go over to TigerBait.com, read his full story about Donte Moore, the five-star quarterback. I will not take his info, so use that promo code AYS30. Read the story. But a lot of things trickling after Scarborough dropped the massive bomb in recruiting today about Donte Moore. We will break all of that down. We will lead off with all of that, where all this kind of really started, where it was going, what happened when Donte Moore came here. We'll do a little refresher course, who he met when he was on campus, and we'll go about what's happening now and how Notre Dame is trying to pick this and what they're trying to do and how it bodes well for LSU. Some will have you to believe that LSU, it's just a Notre Dame. Notre Dame. It's all about the Fighting Irish. I have never in my life seen a redheaded guy or a man with a red beard beat up anybody. That goes for you, Zach. So we ain't starting today. The luck of the Irish. Well, the luck of the Irish might run out with Donte Moore. We'll talk about all of it, though. I promise you we will talk about all of that. Following that, though, Ruffino's rants, I'm going to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it because at least twice a day, Blake, we're so behind in NIL. Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than the Hoochie Coochie. By the way, shout out to LSU baseball from this past week for beating the Fighting Hoochie Coochies in Kennesaw State. I must say so myself. So we'll get on that Ruffino's rants. Matthew H. Trent from WBRZ joins us at 7:30. We'll recap the LSU baseball season with him looking forward. And, I mean, guys, we're 89 days away from LSU football. So we'll talk about that. And every Tuesday and Thursday, we do the hashtag Ask Blake. So you have a question, you have a thought, you have a concern, whatever it is you want to talk about, LSU sports related or SEC sports related or Saints sports related, fire in those questions, recruiting related, hashtag Ask Blake, and then we'll try to get to all of them as we can. So let's get to a couple of comments before we get started. Marcus Como says, Blake, I was in those Twitter spaces last night for the first time. It was on fire. I'm in that biatch all the time. I was scared to speak. You can't be scared to speak, man. Come up there and voice your opinions. Voice your opinions. Rob Boudreaux sends us $4.99 via Super Chat. Thank you so much there, Mr. Rob. Alex says, what in good God's name am I supposed to do now until LSU football starts? I have a great idea. A fantastic idea. You can watch AYS. Blaine Smith says, let's talk some football. Oh, wait, that's not Blaine Smith. I mean, he does have a camo hat on. I mean, guys, if you wear a camo hat in your profile pic, I'm going to scream way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. It gets hotter than the Hoochie Coochie. We laid rubber on the Georgia asphalt. Never got stranger, never got lost. I think that's the words. I don't know. Ryan Guidry says, now we can start focusing on football. Jay Johnson, go find us some pictures for baseball. Ryan Guidry also sends us some stars via Super Chat. Thank you so much. Ant Marshall from the Golden Boot podcast says, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Not yet, Ant. Not yet. Hold your horses. Horses. Justin Lagrange says, thank you, Paul M., for this pitching staff. Let me answer this or talk about this very quickly. Justin, I don't agree with I agree with you and I don't agree with you. Guys, then you're going to have to start explaining to me about Schlossnagle then at A&M. How did he do it? It's his first year at A&M. They were worse than the SEC West. So be careful. Blaine Smith says, going to have streaming channel for LSU content. Wonder if Blake is going to start that show on there. Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. Holden Lee says, tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. Yeah, I got you. No, we got some big news coming middle of this month, I hope, or later this month. Big news. Ryan on YouTube says, my LSU camo won. Lamar Williams. I saw it was his wife's birthday. Shout out to Mrs. Pressure, Mrs. Williams. He said, don't be scared to speak in the Twitter spaces. I agree. Kristen Connor says, Marcus, I'm in there all the time and have been for the past 2 months or so, and I'm still like that. You guys just need to take some Gramco, thegramco.com, use that promo code AYS25, and you'll feel fantastic. Guys, if you're in a Twitter spaces and you're nervous, take some Gramco, relax. Let me tell you about a story all about how my life got turned upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I took some Gramco and got in Twitter spaces right there. So I'll tell you, it makes you do amazing things. Thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. Nurse Court says, hey, fam, what's going on, Court? Bryant Parent Jr. I don't know if you have covered this yet, but what signed players will make it to Baton Rouge? We are going to – so I talked to my good friend Benny Latino today, who has been a scout, been a front office guy in major leagues. It is like the Super Bowl week for him this week with the draft coming up. I'm trying to get Benny on this week, but it's a very difficult time for him. So we'll get him next week. I think that'd be a little bit more plausible for him. All right, a couple more, and then we'll get this thing rolling. Patrick Dorsey says, welcome to the Love Connection. Never mind, I can't sing that song. YouTube will ban me for life. Tigers Avenue says, you were a poet and you didn't know it. That is probably the whitest thing I've ever heard. Zach, you're just so white. Our producer, Zach, man. There's 3 levels of white. There is Creole white, okay, where you can get down and do a little boogie. There's soul white, where brothers got some soul, and then you got Tebow white. You got like pasty white. You got like red beard white. You got like, I'm a ginger, whoo, kind of white. And if golly jeepers, my credit score went down to 810, was a person, it would be Zach. All right, my mom told me I got to stop making fun of Zach, or I'm not getting a Christmas presents this year. So, Zach, I got to chill out so I can do it. Marcus Football says, "Speak on football, Blake." Jesus, man, we can't even get into the show. Come on, man. All right, so we'll do that. We'll listen to Marcus. Let's pay the bills around this thing, and then let's get started. Everybody do us a favor. So many of you are listening to us on Facebook. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook by hitting that like button. Share this video. Share all of our content that you see to your Facebook pages, to Facebook groups. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that. If you're listening to us on YouTube, do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Ding. I need a ding button. And if you're listening to us on XM Radio, or you were listening to us on anywhere you listen to podcasts, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. All right, let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag and our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. What's going on with 5-star quarterback Donte Moore? We will tell you right when we return. Our partners over at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's easy to get started, so head on over to their website, use betonline.ag, use that promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Vardo & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down on the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992, 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. So I'm pretty sure I had the comment of the year nomination. It's from Aunt Petty Marshall. He says, you have Zach, Matt Trent, and Blake, all three categories of white guys covered on the show tonight. I would love to know which one of the three that I am. I'm pretty sure we all know which one Zach is. I think it comes down to me and Matt Trent, who's got the soul power. And I got to admit, it's probably the best comment on the show within the last couple of weeks. I do got to admit that, because a lot of people have been mad about LSU baseball. What a way to lighten up the show, my friend. All right, let's talk about this. If you missed it today, I'm not going to give you the information. If you missed it, I'm not going to give you the information on TigerBait.com. Our buddy Mike Scarborough dropped a pretty big recruiting bomb. It was about five-star quarterback Donte Moore. As the day went on, I started making phone calls. Some other people on the Notre Dame side started to release some things, called some guys that we've had on the show before that cover Notre Dame. We started chit-chatting and talking and relaxing, all cool. Here's where I think that we sit. Now, there's a kid named CJ Carr who may be reclassifying into this year's class, a quarterback. I don't really think that there's any beef between him or Donte Moore or anything like that from some people that I talked to. I think the kid just wants to go to college. I think he wants to reclassify. Notre Dame's the school he wants to go to. That's where he wants to go. And I think it would seem as if, and a lot of people at Notre Dame believe, that CJ Carr more than likely, and Notre Dame more than likely, is going to pick up CJ rather than taking a commitment from Donte Moore. I will be perfectly honest. I don't know a lot about CJ. I watch a lot of Donte Moore because LSU has been in the fold for him. If Notre Dame is knocked out of this race, if Notre Dame is no longer in the picture for Donte Moore, I think that LSU bodes very well. And I think, as a lot of people have said, at least Mike has said a little bit and hinted on his show, that that he believes, and talking to people at Notre Dame, LSU could be in the driver's seat. Now, let me make this very well known. I am not saying that he's committing to LSU. I'm not saying he's coming to LSU. I'm not saying LSU's the leader. I think that LSU's the leader. I don't know that yet. Still need to put some things together. Again, massive recruiting bomb today. Notre Dame sites start releasing it, putting it on their board, which then got social media going after Scarborough dropped the absolute bomb. Guys, this is where I want to spend most of my time, though, however. Where I want to spend most of my time is this. And it's going to go unnoticed. It's not going to be talked about. But I think that it should be talked about, because a lot of us in Twitter, or a lot of people in Twitter Spaces, DMs, wherever it may be, the narrative always is that LSU is behind in NIL. Some places, sure, I will admit that they're behind. But I will also say that I believe A&M's behind when it comes to paying their players that are already on their roster, where LSU is not. Let me say that again. Did you hear what I just said? Name somebody at A&M that you've heard that's got a massive NIL deal that's not in recruiting or a freshman. Name them. Depending on what you're talking about or where you're going, how far are they behind? It is naive for all of you to believe, myself included. It would be naive for any of us to believe that LSU is not putting something together or has put something together for Donte Moore in reference to NIL. Don't believe that. How do you really believe? Why do you think CJ Carr is reclassifying? Why do you think CJ Carr is reclassifying? Why do you think it looks like Donte Moore might be training or leaning a little bit more to LSU? Now, the Rashada kid is leaving LSU, 5-star quarterback or 4-star quarterback, whatever you want to label these kids now. From California, he's going to A&M. I think he might make another little special trip a little bit more out east, not named Alabama, but a rival of LSU. We'll see. Guys, how many times have we had 5-star quarterbacks on our campus? How many times from a 5-star out-of-state quarterback have you really been in the mix for? Now, I know that Brian Kelly and Ed Orgeron and however you want to mix that gumbo up and say, how did Walker Howard get to campus? You go ahead and do that. But when's the last time, if ever, LSU has been able to be this close in getting a commitment from a 5-star quarterback from out of state? I think it's naive for any, and I've said this, it's naive for you to believe that LSU doesn't have a plan. Did you believe that Scott Woodward, who is a menace in recruiting, by the way, who follows it more than anybody, if you talk to anybody in the athletic department, he follows recruiting more than anyone. Did you think he wouldn't have a plan, and now you're going after 6'2", 200-pound, 210-pound quarterback in Donte Moore? Massive recruiting bomb. Let me tell you this. If Brian Kelly lands Donte Moore or a 5-star quarterback from out of state, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand up on this chair, and I'm going full Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam. And if I'm Brian Kelly, I'm doing the same damn thing. Pay me more. You think it's a game. You think it was all a game. Fear-mongering doesn't always have to exist, LSU fans. Just because it happens on this beat, just because it happens here, happens over there, happens everywhere, like my name's Dr. Seuss, doesn't mean that you have to fear-monger. God bless sweet baby Jesus. Dear 6-pound, 8-ounce sweet baby Matt Trent Jesus. Let me tell you what it smells like. If you smell... Wait, that's The Rock. That's not me. Let me tell you what this smells like. What it smells like to me is Donte Moore told Notre Dame he wanted a little bit more, a little something, and they did not oblige. So now you have a quarterback in the 2024 class reclassifying to come to you now and commit to you now? I'm pretty sure I was born at 7:38 on a Monday night. On July 16th of the year 1990 of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, that wasn't last night. Notre Dame fans that are in my mentions and DMs, how do you feel now? See, the funny thing is, a team like LSU doesn't win 3 national titles in 20 years and get to a 4th if they hadn't been doing the same thing that Jimbo's done, if they haven't been doing relatively, if they haven't learned or they didn't learn how to do recruiting from a man that's 5'5", 162 pounds soaking wet, that loves eating Little Debbie cream pies. Shout out to the boy Elite, by the way. This Zach, I don't know if you know this, but the little kid Elite, the 16-year-old that comes in Twitter Spaces, he's the one that passed through security and walked up to Nick Saban and said he would give him $5,000 if he retired. So everybody that's in Twitter Spaces, you know the little kid, his name is Elite College Football, who's a big LSU fan. He's the one that passed through security. That man passed through security. First off, we need to get Elite on the show. Maybe not on the show. Let's put him on Twitter Spaces. I'm not putting a 16-year-old kid on the show like this. That's not a recruit. What do you tell Nick Saban? Hey, Mr. Nick, sir, St. Nick, I got $5,000 if you retire. What does Nick say to that? Like, I feel like Nick wipes his arse with $5,000. Lamar Pressure Williams says, no, Blake, not the cream pies. Yes, the cream pies. Let's get to a couple of these comments, and then we'll get to Matt Trent in just a second. Marvin Mackey sends us some stars. Thank you so much. Brandon Reese says, hashtag ask Blake, how do you feel if we get Dom Kinsu? Tune in to the Believe in Saints podcast following this at 8:15 with myself and Terrence Copper, former Saints wide receiver and ECU alum. I heard Matt Trent try to beat Terrence Copper in a race one time and got beat. That's what I heard. The person that told me that, the source, was Matt Trent. All right. Chili Vic says, hashtag ask Blake, did you see what Bianco said? And we need you to get on that baseball recruiting, Blake. Salsas. I'll get on it. And I did see what he said. We'll be all right. We'll get to that. Trust me. Tigers Avenue podcast. I have no idea who these guys are. He said more recently deleted every recruiting photo from his Instagram besides a picture of each of him in an LSU uniform and in a Notre Dame uniform. Okay, so this is Zach, guys. I'm just playing around. That's interesting. It's interesting. Very interesting, Zach. You know, some people would say that that's spooky. Very spooky. LGC doubling it up on the comments says, going to be a good weekend for LSU football. I agree with that. He knows a little something. He also says, if we lock down Donte early, then this class is going to pop off. All starts with the QB. And I agree. Chris English says, Donte or Rashada is my top picks for quarterback. You mean you don't want Arch Manning? You ask anybody in the I'm going to be quiet. But if you do ask anybody in the New Orleans media, Arch Manning literally has walked on water. They've seen it. Danny Snow says, well, he has balls. I'll give him that. Well, hey, yonder on the Chattahoochee. I'm telling you, man, you can't. I'm telling you. Marcus Como said it was a security breach. Shout out to him. Ryan says, oh, my God, I knew it was him. Yeah, that little kid that comes in Twitter Spaces, that's him. Hey, the funny thing is he told everybody he was going to do it, by the way, and he did it. I mean, we made fun of him in Twitter Spaces. Richie says 5-star Gunnar Keel. Gunnar Keel was not a 5-star. If I don't, was he? Am I wrong? So we got to go back all the way to Gunnar Keel. But we didn't. So let me ask you this: did Gunnar Gill come here? Is what I mean. When I say you go and get a 5-star, guys, I mean signed, committed, all that stuff. Signed and committed. You did not get Gunnar Kill to come here. Is what I should have clarified. All right, one more, and then we were getting to Matt Trent, but We'll get to Matt Trent as soon as he joins us back. Rick says the answer to how many 5-star QBs we've had a shot is at 1. Walker Howard, that's all. It's true. All right, let's get to one more, and then we'll get to Matt Trent. PCG says enough NIL talk. PCG, I like you, man. I like you, man. What do you mean? Guess everybody else can bash on LSU for not being ready for NIL, but God forbid, Blake says, do you really think that you're in the race for Donte Moore if NIL's not there? If it's something that you don't want to hear, either turn it down or leave, guys. I don't, PCG, I don't mean that the wrong way, then leave. Shit. All right, I lied. Last one from Dylan Allen. I met Dylan Allen this weekend, I believe. Is this the Dylan Allen I met? I believe it is. Met him at the LSU USM baseball game. Consequently, it was right after I did an interview with Matt Trent. After I had just had some USM jambalaya that wasn't spicy. Inside pun. Hashtag Ask Blake, any coincidence with the Donte news and Cornell saying he's committing in the next week or two? We will see. We will see. All right. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's pay some bills right quick. Matt Trent around the corner. Let's talk about our good friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25 for all of your Delta 8 needs. And my good friend Carol Falls over at State Farm. We'll return in about 1:25 with Matt Trent. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. All right, Matthew H. Trent from WBRZ is our guest. He wanted to let you all know that he will work for Twitter. So if you have any odd jobs around the house, Matt Trent will work for Twitter. I mean, are you about to go like do a legal prep case? Like, are you Perry Mason on your off time? Like, what are you doing all dressed up like you're about to go, yeet?
This is actually my day job attire. When I do my odd jobs working for Twitter handles, I actually have a banana hammock that I put on. It's just got a big LSU. And the LSU goes front to back. So the L is around the front, the S kind of just tucks under, and then it's a big U on the back buttocks there.
I think we could. I really believe
you asked. That's why people. I don't know why people are at this point are shocked when I tell them things like that, because if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
I've known you for a while now, and I talk to you almost every day. I should have known. It's my fault. I blame myself, honestly.
people say stuff. They're like, "Oh my God, why would you say that?" I go, because why not? Like, it's the truth. You know.
I love you to death. I never want to see it ever on you.
I mean, I will. Well, I'm not going to go there either. I'm not going to go there. I will be if I ever wore that, I will be properly groomed. Let's put it that way.
Speaking of that, manscaped.com, you can use the promo code AYS. Seriously, you can. Shout out to our good friends over at Manscaped. We'll be bringing them back during football season. Matt, let me ask you this. And if you have some questions, fire them in the chat, #AskMT. Is it naive? Was it naive? Because this Donte Moore, 5-star quarterback from Michigan, kind of some things hitting today. Our buddy Mike Scarborough put some things out there. The Notre Dame confirmed. The Notre Dame guys confirmed what Mike was saying. Matt, was it naive for us to believe that Brian Kelly and Scott Woodward wouldn't have a plan for NIL ready to go? Like, I mean, am I the only person that believes that? I mean,
yes, Blake, because they've been behind the entire time. They have no money anywhere in reserve accounts. They've been behind this whole NIL thing from the very beginning. They've lost every NIL battle ever. They've been behind. The L in LSU stands for losers in NIL. They're just behind, Blake. They're behind.
Matt Trent is trying to put me in YouTube jail, LGZ.
How could anyone think that a program like LSU, with the notoriety they have, they're behind? It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's what she said.
You know? Yes. Okay? You know those races that regular people or football players try to do against Usain Bolt when he was at like the peak of his career? I mean, not that he's fallen off, but like when he was really beating everybody by 100 meters, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he would give them 30 meters, and what it ended up happening, he would still win by at least 2 or 3 leg lengths, okay? That's LSU, okay? They what I always think is so funny about LSU, and it's really the brilliance. They know that they're so good at a lot of things. They're not good at everything, but they are good at a lot of things. When it comes to, I'm not talking about sports. I'm talking about this NIL stuff and the digital stuff and whatever, content creation, whatever. They know that they can jump into any ring with anybody at any time and win. Might not be by knockout blow, but it's going to go a couple rounds, and by the end of the 12th, LSU is going to be standing, and there's going to be someone on the mat. Okay? Yes, Brian Kelly and Scott Woodward have a plan for everything. Brian Kelly has a plan for probably next fall, not fall of 2022, fall of 2023. He's probably mapped out next fall's practice plans and knows what's going on. He's probably got like days they're going to run sprints, days they're going to go full scrimmage, days they're going to go just shells for 2023. Like, that is a narrative that gets really, really old too. LSU's behind. LSU behind. They're one of the most innovative athletic departments in the world, in the country, in the world, on the planet Earth. The one that I live on, you live on. Don't know that a lot of other people that cover this team. Okay? Don't know that.
Oh God!
Don't know when they put their mailing address out on forms that there's going to be a place that you can find on Google Maps. All I'm saying.
Bro, I'm about to tweet out. I know you can't tweet. I'm about to tweet out Matt Trent's on fire. All right.
It's just, Blake, it's just like you and I have this conversation ad nauseum. I just don't understand when people can't look at something with their eyes and their brain and just see it for what it is. I don't understand that. I've never understood that. And how could anyone with the money that this school rakes in with everything the TV deals, the money from the SEC, and just literally just donors in general. How do we not see like, oh yeah, LSU's behind? It's like that meme of like the big fat guy laying on the bed of just like money. Is that what people think LSU is doing? Just falling to sleep on a bed of cash and not having any intent to use it?
It's what I do, fat included.
Like you realize that Scott Woodward came from like Texas A&M, who, if there's anyone that's going to rival LSU with money, it's A&M.
No debate.
So when he was doing all that before NIL, and he was limited to what he can do, and there were actually restrictions on what you could do, and it's the Wild Wild West now. I don't give a shit. Like, they don't. We can just wait. You mean to tell me we can throw money at anybody legally? What?
And Matt, to rudely interrupt you, legislation's changing.
And guess what? Like, I'll put Scott Woodward as the top 5 AD in the country.
I agree.
I'll put him at top 2, and he ain't 2. That's my personal opinion.
Matt, I don't disagree. Again, Mulkey, Johnson, Peterson, Jim. You can say what you want about Jimbo. What happens if that stuff starts working? Okay. And then the ultimate, what if what happens if Brian Kelly wins a natty? Now, Chris Peterson was the last head coach of the Pac-12, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, Washington was the last team in the college football playoffs with Chris Peterson. I mean, he's exceeding where he's going. I agree with you. I think you're spinning fire. They're calling you Pastor Matt in the chat. Pastor Matt. That sounds very youth minister like.
There's nothing holy about me, so we're gonna have to nick.
Bro, on fire. Did you what? God, I wish this was an unfiltered podcast because I would ask you so many questions. Bro, you must have played a great round of golf today.
I'm working today.
All day? You've been working for 66 days straight.
I'm in the war room right now. Like, this is ground zero for WBRZ Sports. Like, we're in this. It's just me, a dark room, and a computer screen.
True.
I'm not going to tell you what's on the computer screen.
Oh, God. Pastor Mark, I think is who is on there with you. I forget his last name. Pastor Mark. All right, let's talk about this very quickly. I agree with you in everything you were saying. Matt, the better team won in Hattiesburg, in my opinion. A lot of people don't agree with me, but it doesn't matter because we were right, or I was right. And I'm sure you've echoed those same sentiments. Matt, to play with the big boys, you got to be able to pitch. Tyler McManus was not why you lost. Okay, Jordan Thompson was not why you lost the regional. Matt, you got out-pitched.
Here's the one thing that I have found, and this is going to make a lot of people watching this and whomever this clip will be sent to very upset. I have noticed that LSU fans have a very tough time admitting when they just flat out got beat. They have very huge problems. It's a pride thing. I get it. Of saying, hey, man, we just got beat today. And that's okay. We got beat. You got beat by Southern Miss. You got out-pitched by Southern Miss. Don't necessarily think you got out-hit. Don't really necessarily think you got out-defended. You got out-pitched. Because you had a bull. I said this in my report last night. Regional baseball, postseason baseball, whether it be your conference tournament or regional, super regional, or Omaha, it has a very weird way of taking a 56-game season worth of data and stats and numbers and throwing it completely out of the window. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a prime example that's not about LSU. The Pato kid for Southern Miss, left-hander who hit a ball off Blake Money that short-hopped the church in right field.
St. Thomas Aquinas, by the way.
Game 2, maybe? That was the second game, I think?
No, it was game 1. It was game 1.
Game 1? Okay.
No, I mean game 1 of the 2 last ones. It was game 6, technically.
Okay.
Mhm.
Talking with some, he went like, I think he went like 4 for 12 or something like that, or some crazy. He hit 3 home runs against LSU.
Right.
3 home runs against LSU. Talking with some Hattiesburg media people, they were like, "Yeah, he's been like the 8-hole guy all year." And then he either caught fire in the conference tournament or something, or Scott Berry had a hunch, put him at the top of the lineup, and he blistered balls against LSU. Blistered balls.
Well, and look, with all due respect, I mean, people can rip on that take all they want, but the truth is the truth. And to Justin, I agree with Matt. The 18 errors by Jordan Thompson, the 18 errors this season did not lose you the regional.
Jordan Thompson.
I'm an LSU fan. Matt, it didn't lose you the regional. You got outpitched. Matt, go ahead.
Jordan Thompson made a lot of damn good plays in the field this weekend.
I agree.
Made a lot of really good plays. And, Scott Berry said it beautifully after the first time LSU and Southern Miss played. When they took Waldrop out, the starter for Southern Miss, who was lights out, 95-97, with a wipeout slider and a split finger. When they took him out, LSU started putting balls in play. And Scott Berry said we couldn't strike him out. We couldn't strike him out because the guys that we were bringing in weren't on that elite level that Waldrop was, or didn't have that same type of stuff, and LSU was putting balls in play. What happened with the walk-off win against Southern Miss? Josh Pearson had a game-winning hit that didn't even get out of the infield. And LSU, that's kind of like a little bit encapsulated about LSU. Their bullpen has been, but it wasn't great. I think they hit a wall. When you have to throw certain guys multiple times, back-to-back days, or just multiple times in a weekend, you're going to hit a wall. Like Raiselman, I think yesterday, or no, Saturday he pitched, or the first time he pitched in Hoover. Raiselman's one of those guys where he'll be 97-98. And when he pitches the second time in a weekend, it's 93-94. That's a huge difference. 4 miles an hour. Huge difference.
Well, and to rudely interrupt you on that, because I think it goes with what you're about to say. And Marshall says #AskMT. As a former pitcher, was there more that Jay could have done with this staff?
No.
I don't think people know your resume, so to speak. You were a college pitcher. So to answer that, is there anything more that Jay could have done with his pitching staff?
No. I think the results that you got were literally the best that we could have ever hoped for. I think that they were the best, and Mikhail Hilliard is A1 prime example, numero uno. You can't tell me that you can roll a dude out who's 87-88 on Friday night in the SEC and expect to have a chance. If you would have given me if you would have put Mikhail Hilliard's attributes as like a blind taste test, fastball 87-88, curveball, whatever, and said, is this guy going to succeed on Friday nights in the SEC? I said, absolutely not. But guess what he did second half of the season?
He did.
He shoved it up everybody's you-know-what in the SEC. And you just saw a bunch of guys that came in and they hit a wall. Riley Cooper, who was lights out towards the end of the year, wasn't great. Blake Money. I think Blake's deal was more mental than anything else.
Agreed.
But Friday night guy, and he just couldn't get people out. And people don't understand like the hand Jay was dealt either. Like, I think forgetting the people that he had in and dealing and having to like put together a successful team with what he was given. They won 40 games this year. That's pretty good, dude. That's pretty good in my book. And look, like I said it before the beginning of the year. They're either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. And look, the Vanderbilt series, really, really good. Really good. Hoover, really bad. Some positives, really bad. Hattiesburg Regional, flashes of both.
Well, and Matt, the two lefties that you were counting on, and Hasty and Cooper didn't show up. I mean, they struggled, and really and truthfully, and Matt, I can't preach this to the bleachers. Tyler McManus, and we have some of these comments already in the chat, guys. And Matt, I'm not going to speak for you, but I'll speak for my damn self. Tyler McManus didn't lose you the effing regional, dude. Grow up. It's not what other people are saying. Matt, they threw 13 straight balls. 13. You were there. Remember in the stands where they go, ball 13, 13 straight balls, Matt. They walked the bases loaded.
I just, maybe
not straight, but damn near close.
Maybe you can put it on the of the last two against Southern Miss, the pass ball from Gervais. Well, they all run together for me. Was that the first game of the two or the second?
It was the last game, but Matt, you were there again. I mean, and Jay somewhat tried to hint at the post game. Matt, how difficult is it? I know you've been asked this 1,000 times in your life. How difficult is it if you're a catcher and you're setting up for an outside slider at 77 miles an hour and trying to catch a 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and in?
It's hard enough to catch 94 with movement when you know it's coming.
Let me ask you, did you see the Alex Lang pitch from this week? Okay, well, I'm going to send it to you. Alex Lang literally threw a two-seam at the batter. It ended in the strike zone.
So here's the thing too, and I looked at the one yesterday, the pass ball with Gervais. Like, we can all talk about like, oh, he's not Alex Milazzo. Tyler McManus is not a horrible catcher.
No, he's not.
Is Alex Milazzo? Yeah, but it's like, oh, is Tyler McManus Pudge Rodriguez? Just because you're not the best at what you do doesn't mean that you suck. So like when Tyler McManus is standing right here and the ball's coming and it tips off his glove and goes right past him, hits the umpire and goes to the backstop, like that's not Tyler McManus. That's getting crossed up with your pitcher. That is a miscommunication of signs, because when that happens, like I'm watching McManus and it's so fast, it's 95 off the glove to the backstop, and then he turns around, and then in that moment, the run scores and Gervais is at the plate and they're talking, and Gervais has got, one of these looks going on, and you could just tell McManus had just had it. He's been dealing with that all season.
Coming from a college pitcher,
I know what that looks like. I know that face. I know that reaction. And Tyler McManus has been dealing with it all season. Is he the best like defensive catcher? Probably.
No.
Is he horrible? No. Is he like? Defensively, I think he's better than Travinsky.
No doubt.
I think he's the second best catcher on there. But like, this stuff like that, like it's just very obvious that the bullpen was the issue. LSU got outpitched. Southern Miss was rolling dudes out like the closer, 19, that closed it out last night, that gave up the game-winning hit in the first game. He was 95, and he was just coming off TJ, they said in the post-game press conference.
Tommy John, for everybody who doesn't know, but correct, right.
Like, coming off TJ, and, like, he's throwing 95, and, like, he can do it. So, like, why can't LSU do it? And, again, this is not on Jay Johnson. It's not on Jason Kelly. If anything, we ought to praise Jason Kelly for taking that pitching staff to a regional within, hell, maybe a couple pitches of a super regional. Like, just think about, and again, these next couple weeks, you're going to see a lot of dudes hit the portal. You're going to see a lot of dudes get cut, because Jay is bringing in people that he wants, his type of player. And they're not like what Paul Maneri was bringing in towards the end of his tenure here. I can go ahead and tell you. The class that they got coming in, which is rated as the number one class, it's like 20 guys, I think. Even if, 10 of them get drafted, the other 10 still going to be pretty good. Still,
That was the next question. I mean, Matt, I'm not going to judge Jay off of this season, but the equivalent of what a friend of ours told me, it was Jay Johnson has a class equivalent to A&M's football recruiting class from this last cycle. Now, Matt, I will tell you this: I'm not saying you're a couple pitchers away, but Matt, you may be. Look, I get Jacob Berry's leaving, I get Doty's leaving. But Matt, you're bringing the best shortstop in the country in, and the kid from Barb, Guidry.
You think who was Louisiana Gatorade Player of the Year?
Player of the Year, right?
So, and that too, like, you know, it's still up in the air if Raiselman comes back, if he gets drafted high enough to where he's going to leave. Dude, I swear, I promise you. Look, I got here in 2019 in the summer when they hosted the Super against Florida State, and Devin Fontenot, it was just unreal in that Super, if I remember. Didn't he pitch like multiple times? I know there was one where it felt like he was out there for 8 hours just throwing.
That was the 11-4 game. That was game 1. Mm-hmm.
So you've got a guy like that who was then the best closer in the country, one of. You get that type of performance, put it with a Raiselman, and you put it with like a long relief guy like I think Grant Taylor has that ability. I think Jacob Hasty has that ability when he's fresh and not overworked. Those types of dudes, like Blake Money, if they put him in the bullpen full time, like you get some long relief, you get a back end of the game guy like an 8th, and then have a dude who's lights out, who's going to get you punch outs. Like that's again, LSU didn't have anybody in there where they can go, hey, bases loaded, no outs. Can you give me at least one punch out so we might have a chance for a double play? Or 2 punch outs, and then what? They don't have that guy. Raiselman, yes, but again, they all just kind of hit this wall, and they couldn't seem to like kick it down, and that was a lot because of overuse, in my personal opinion.
Well, and I agree with that. And this is the last thing, and we'll get you out of here. But Matt, here's my God's honest opinion. What if you have 2 stars that can give you 6 innings? Matt, they are. Now, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say they're Tennessee good, but if you kind of think about it, like if you take
look like Blake, look at Southern Miss. They threw Tanner Hall the first game against Army, and he went 8. They threw in their elimination game against Kennesaw State. They threw the dude who went 9. Right. Do you have? Tell me right now, do you have anybody on LSU staff from this year that can do that?
No. Matt, we don't have anybody that can go 4.
You don't have a Landon Marceau that's going to give you minimum 6. Minimum 6.
Right. Did we need that kid to come back?
You don't need like you don't have a dude like that that's going to just eat innings up, because that's what you need in postseason baseball, because it comes down to pitching and more pitching. I don't care what you do with the bat. LSU had the best lineup in the regional. Had the best lineup in the regional, and they got knocked out. You know why? Because if you score 10 and you give up 11, guess what? You lost. As Jay Johnson said, pretty simple game, folks. Pretty simple.
Well, everybody on the beat arguing with Jay Johnson that he says he needs more pitching in this game. This regional wasn't on Tyler McManus. Who do you agree with, Jay Johnson or? Look,
I'm gonna be honest. You give me 2 more quality arms. LSU's in a Super right now.
Matt, they're an Omaha team. I think that they're.
They have it. You can make the case. You give me 1 or 2 more bats, maybe to put at the bottom half of the lineup, because that lineup is very top heavy. It is. Mm-hmm. Give me 1 or 2 more bats. That's an Omaha team, and you can't tell me.
No doubt. Free Matt Trent. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Later. That's Matt Trent from WBRZ. Y'all feisty in the comments, dog. The comments are going off, Zach. The comments are going off. That man's fantastic. How you going to argue with a dude that pitched in college, bro? Oh, God. Y'all are wild. Y'all are wild. Stop listening to people during 3 to 6. And Marshall says, Edo, USM beat LSU. Did LSU make mistakes? Yes, USM did too. End of the day, better team won. Guys, I mean, are you going to – then you're disagreeing with Jay Johnson and you know more than him. I don't mean that in the wrong way. Let me just talk about very quickly my good friends over at Roche's Lawn and Landscape, 225-937-7220. It's 225-937-7220. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by, and my good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. For buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with him today. Again, that's 225-614-1234. Tell him Blake sent you on by. Okay. I really forgot my next topic because Matt Trent just went off. Oh, we just had hashtag Ask Blake. So it's fine. All right, we'll do this because we got Terrence Copper, Believe in Saints next. We'll call a little bit early tonight, guys. Tune in about 15 minutes. We're going over with Copper. We'll see you soon. Tune in there. Y'all have a good night, and peace out, Girl Scouts.